while since I last did a wrestling-based DVD review, which was the TNA DVD Final Resolution 2008. Today I'm going to take something that goes a few years further back than that. It is, well, the DVD refers to it as the legendary Japanese tournament, which, to be honest, is a title that doesn't really sort of tell you a right lot. It was not until I actually picked the thing up in the shop and realised what it was, that it was in fact the 1995 IWA King of the Deathmatch tournament. The very same tournament that secured the legacy of Terry Funk and catapulted Mick Foley, known here as Cactus Jack, into hardcore superstardom. It's also the very same tournament that Mick Foley talks about in his best-selling book, Have a Nice Day. Now, during his book, Foley talked a lot about his matches in Japan and about this particular tournament. There's even a chance to get a glimpse of them in the documentary Beyond the Mat, which is a fantastic documentary to watch about professional wrestling, and that's something else that I'll be reviewing at some point as well. Now, I always wanted to watch the actual King of the Deathmatch itself. Now, I knew that a few of the matches were available on YouTube, and they still are, but what I really wanted was a DVD of the entire event. So thankfully, along came Big Vision Entertainment to save the day. The King of the Deathmatch tournament from 1995 features, as you'll know, Terry Funk and Mick Foley, under here as Cactus Jack, along with Tiger Jeet Singh, Leatherface, Terry Gordy, Hiroshi Ono, Soji Nakamaki, and Ganasuchi, all beating the crap out of each other in one crazy match after another to crown the first ever King of the Deathmatch. The matches are complete, they're uncut, they're displayed in all their visual gory flair. Straight off the bat, I knew this was going to be a good DVD. I mean, the production rates seem to be a lot higher than some of these other sort of budget-priced DVDs that you come across. I mean, I picked this up for about £1.50 from Computer Exchange. The DVD menu features lots of flames and a tournament bracket formed in barbed wire. And as you move from match to match, actually, the whole menu moves along with it. It's got a good touch to it. I do like it. And then as soon as the event starts, all the wrestlers who are taking part in the tournament and some of the other matches that's on this event all make their way to the ring in somewhat unique ways. Terry Funk came down to the ring on a horse, sort of playing up to that whole Texan cowboy thing. Mick Foley came down to the ring carrying a crucifix and barbed wire wrapped around it, which is what the Passion of the Christ would have looked like if it had taken place in ECW. The tag team champions, Silver King and El Texano, drove to the ring in a white car, making an entrance in style there. Terry Gordy and several other wrestlers came to the ring in some sort of army jeep with a freaking machine gun on it for some reason. Leatherface just came through the crowd with a chainsaw and scared the shit out of everyone. People were literally running for their lives as Leatherface was running through there. I get the impression that won't really work with British or American audience. It's like, oh bloody hell, is he coming through the audience? I'm going to have to put me crisps down now. Now I should point out that they never actually got the rights from whichever studio was holding the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in order to do a character based on Leatherface, because Japan really doesn't tend to give a shit about copyrights, which is a good thing sometimes. Also, we get mixed martial artist fighter Dan the Beast Severin coming out, and he's been driven in style. He's in the back of a black car, making an interesting style because at the time he was the NWA champion, and he's got that, and he's also got a belt from Ultimate Fighting as well. Now, accomplished as a fighter as Dan the Beast Severin is, and he certainly is. You know, he's got the belts. He's certainly got all the accolades and what have you. When he did have his limited run in the WWE, it is largely forgettable, mainly because he is such a boring sod. So we come to the tournament itself, and each of the matches have got a bizarre stipulation there. Now in the first round, we get two barbed wire board and chain matches, one between Ganasuchi and Tiger Jeet Singh, and another between Terry Funk and Leatherface. We get a barbed wire baseball bat and thumbtack match between Terry Gordy and Cactus Jack, and a barbed wire board and thumbtack match between Hiroshi Ono and Soji Nakamaki. Okay, the matches are all completely insane and brutal. People are slammed into barbed wire. People's heads are pressed into barbed wire. Tiger Jeet Singh in particular is sadistic at this, whacking people away with his sword, even the referee at some point. Tiger Jeet Singh is actually still wrestling now, as far as I'm aware, so there doesn't seem to be anyone's to slow this guy down. In fact, Tiger Jeet Singh's son wrestled in WWE at some point as well, but he just proved to be a huge disappointment. and he proved to be so unliked by the rest of the wrestlers, they actually took a shit in his turban. Classy. Of particular note was when Terry Gordy stamped Cactus Jack's head into a bed of thumbtacks, which was just unbelievably brutal to look at. And it certainly didn't let up, because in round 2 we got a couple of barbed wire, board and bed of nail matches featuring Terry Funk against Tiger Jeet Singh and Cactus Jack against Soji Nakamaki. Terry Funk goes over Tiger Jeet Singh, mainly due to interference from Cactus Jack when he ends up driving the sword into Tiger's throat, which I would have thought would have sliced his head off, to be honest. It's obviously a very blunt sword. Along the way, there's also several non-tournament matches which take place. Now, there's a cruiserweight battle between Takashi Okane against Flying Kid Ichihara. Now, I'm not being funny or anything, but it does seem as if the crowd just completely took a shit on this match. It's like, this wasn't what they came to see. They came to see hardcore matches. They came to see barbed wire and thumbtacks and broken glass and stuff like that. They certainly didn't come to see two guys, one with a mullet, and one who looks like he's had his hair all sort of feathered and fluffed up like an 80s glam rock star, jumping around and swinging kicks at each other. On another show, this would have gotten a better response, absolutely. But on this type of show, it just wasn't what the audience was looking for, I think. There was also a match against two masked wrestlers, the Iceman against Kamikaze. I don't know if this was meant to be a comedy match. It certainly came off as that because the audience were laughing. I don't know if that was their intention. I have no idea who the two people are underneath the masks, but whoever is the Iceman really should have picked a more fetching colour than purple, because let's be honest, he doesn't exactly have the best physique there. It just looks like someone stuffed a load of sausage meat into a pair of tights. What I did enjoy was the tag team match, where Silver King and El Texano took on the Headhunters. Now, if you've not heard of the Headhunters, they did briefly have an appearance in the WWE as the Samoan SWAT team. I think it's them. Basically what these guys are a couple of Abdullah the Butcher lookalikes, except rather than these guys can actually fly around the ring like cruiserweights. I couldn't believe some of the stuff they were doing. They were flying across the ring doing senton bombs and all kinds of things. Anyway, after a brutal match, the Headhunters pick up the match and the tag team titles, and even though I wasn't familiar with either one of these teams, I did thoroughly enjoy the match. And then we get a match for the NWA title, where Dan the Beast Severin takes on FMW legend Tarzan Goto. Tarzan at some point thought he'd bring a broken glass into the proceedings. The match did go completely bonkers at some point, with the two guys lobbing chairs at each other. Basically, if you don't think that Dan the Beast Severin can have an entertaining match, he's proof that he actually can. That's all I can say for that. Okay, so then we come on to the main event itself, and this is really the highlight of the entire disc. So if you're not interested in purchasing the full disc, then just look for this match on YouTube, is what I'd say. This is the final of the King of the Deathmatch tournament. It's Cactus Jack versus Terry Funk in a no-rope, explosive, barbed wire, fireboard, time bomb deathmatch. By this time, it had become night time. When the event started, it was daytime because it's like an outdoor baseball arena, the Kawasaki Stadium. By the time they got to the main event, it was dark, and the atmosphere, I could sort of tell from the DVD, was absolutely electric. It seems as if it was on the same level as WrestleMania 3. In fact, I felt that if this match would have taken place over in the West, perhaps in ECW or in WWE, people will be describing this as one of the greatest matches of all time. In fact, at one point, if I could just go off subject a little bit here, Mick Foley did try to get something sorted out with Vince McMahon, where at WrestleMania 14, himself and Terry Funk would have a rematch based from their death match here in the King of the Deathmatch, where it would involve barbed wire and C4 explosives and stuff like that. And at first, Vince McMahon didn't seem to be sort of warm into the idea, until they got Mike Tyson on board to be part of WrestleMania 14, and Vince felt that with the world's media watching, they didn't really particularly want to see two guys damn near killing each other with explosives and barbed wire and stuff, so that idea was kind of nixed. Although it would later metamorph into Cactus Jack and Terry Funk in his Chainsaw Charlie persona against the New Age Outlaws in a hardcore dumpster match, which was still entertaining, but not quite the same as what the original plan was going to be. I'm also not too sure why they felt the need to put a pair of powdered pantyhose on Terry Funk and call him Chainsaw Charlie, which again is another Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Leatherface type character. Anyway, in this match, the ropes were replaced with barbed wire. There were bombs strategically placed around the ring. There that people would occasionally get lobbed into. There was also a time bomb that sort of went off, and if you've read Mick Foley's book, you know that when it sort of went off, it wasn't exactly a fantastic explosion. The crowd kind of sort of took a shit on this afterwards, when this turned out to be a bit of a flop. You see, the thing is, with explosions in wrestling, some people like them, some people just think they're incredibly goofy, which is something that Wrestling Society X found out to their cost. The only difference is that here the explosives are real. In Wrestling Society X, the explosives were added to the match in post-production. Essentially, the this match had everything, with the two of them lobbing each other into barbed wire boards and into explosives and what have you. Foley at one point brought a ladder into the match and did a huge diving elbow off the top of it, which you probably saw at some point on the documentary Beyond the Mat. And by this point, they were already bloody from the previous matches, and they were even more bloody by the time this match had finished. I mean, the two of them just both had the full-on crimson mask on. Essentially, you can see that everything that's followed since then, everything that you saw in ECW, in XPW, in CZW, and even the stuff that you can see in, where the TNA and WWE do the occasional hardcore stuff, everything they did there has been copied from this one tournament, from this one deathmatch. The thumbtacks, the barbed wire boards, the explosives, the use of ladders, replacing the ropes with barbed wire, which was done many a time in ECW. They all got their inspiration from this. And the blurb on the DVD cover saying that this is the one that started it all, and it certainly did. This is what kicked off the whole sort of hardcore wrestling phase, if you like. For me, it was fantastic just to be able to see such a sort of well-known and sort of legendary wrestling show that, you know, despite its status, hasn't really been seen all that much over here, other than the occasional glimpses and what have you. So it's been great that I've actually been able to get hold of the DVD of that. I do feel like I need to sort of go back and read Mick Foley's book now, just to sort of get his sort of account of it, if you like. But this is a DVD definitely worth checking out, especially if you are a fan of Mick Foley and Terry Funk, and of course if you are a fan of the more sort of hardcore style of wrestling, if you were into ECW back in the day. It's definitely not for the weak of heart. There is a lot of claret being splashed around the ring in this particular match, and overall the Big Daddy D will give the legendary Japanese tournament, otherwise known as the IWA 1995 King of the Deathmatch tournament, a resounding thumbs up.